Hello, welcome to Music is a Journey. I'm Peter, and once again, I'm not here. That's right, this is a pre-recorded video that I did last week, July 16th, and it is coming up during this week here while I am away. Thank you for the comments. I will address them when I have a chance. And I'm doing a series of threads, participating in a series of threads that have been out for a bit. And this video here is for Todd Guy, the Thrashing Zombie, and his The Thrashing Zombies 5 to 5 subs contest. He reached 500 subscribers and decided to have a contest, and then by the time he got around to making the video, he already had 525. So it is the 525 subs contest. The prize is $100 in PayPal, and this contest was started June 22nd. The deadline is July 22nd. So I think I might actually still be here by the time I put this video up because I want to get in before the deadline. So there's that, and the deadline is July 22nd. The draw video is July 27th. So very simple, three things, but 5, 2, and 5. The first one is top 5 bands from any genre or mix of genres of yours. Now, there were just so many. I was thinking about many different approaches, but as I realized, I'm doing lots of videos at once, so it's a big nuisance to have to dig out CDs from so many of the boxes here under the table. So I went with what I could grab fairly easily. So for this one here, I decided to go with my 5 favorite thrash bands of the 1980s. Now, 5 favorite thrash bands, this doesn't mean my 5 favorite albums. There are some albums out there, for example, Exodus Bonded by Blood. I love the album, but I have only 2 Exodus albums. So I'm going with bands whose catalog, I have at least a few albums. So one of them here, this is Metallica, Ride the Lightning. This album was one of those albums that just really blew my mind. It was the heaviest thing I'd ever heard at this point in my life, and I loved it. Still one of my favorites. So Metallica's Ride the Lightning. I mean, after this, it was Celtic Frost, it was Bathory, it was Possessed, I mean, it just had to get faster and heavier and gruffer and rougher and meaner. So anyway, Metallica's Ride the Lightning. Metallica, I have 5 of their albums. The first 3, of course, the Black Album, and the most recent one, 72 Seasons, which I think is actually quite all right. Megadeth, yes, I have the 2nd through to the 6th Megadeth albums. So yeah, I'm not like a huge fan, but I do like each of those albums, and I like a lot of the songs on each of those albums. I remember picking this one up pretty much the week it came out, but I bought it on cassette at that time. So anyway, so far so good, so what? Actually, short but good album, I think. Then, this counts for one of the 5 groups, as well as one of my 5 favorite albums from the 1980s. This is Slayer's Hell Awaits. I really do love this Slayer album. After that, I like the next 3 albums that came after, but this left the biggest impression on me, and so this remains my favorite Slayer album. And yes, I have 5 albums by Slayer as well. Then we move on to Sacrifice. This is their debut album, Torment and Fire. Now, Sacrifice were less of a thrash band like the others, and a little bit on the darker, meaner side of things. There's a kind of, Night of the Living Dead? No, what's it called? That one with the cabin in the woods. Evil Dead. There's a kind of Evil Dead theme going to this. So anyway, Sacrifice just released their 6th album this year after a long release gap. And yeah, I have all 6 of their albums. And then finally, of course, you could probably guess, Voivod. I don't consider them exactly really a thrash band like everybody else, but they were lumped into the bunch at the time anyway. It was one of those, extreme metal bands. This here is some of their early recordings. I think it was 2 microphones taped together in a studio and the band just playing all at once. Yeah, To the Death, 1984, and of course, soon after this, they released their first album, War and Pain, and they have quite a long history behind them, still going today, and I have everything except their last release because it was mostly re-recordings of their older songs, and I wasn't really sure if I wanted that or not, but yeah, I'll get it. Otherwise, I have everything else. And I did a 3-part series on the history of Voivod, maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, which is still gaining traction out there. I still get comments on that. Anyway, that is my pick for my 5 favorite thrash bands from the 1980s, thrash or extreme metal bands. I mean, I'd probably put in Celtic Frost and Bathory, but once again, it is for just like a couple of albums, and these are bands where I have more than a couple. So next one is two artists everyone seems to like, or that most people seem to like, but you just can't get into. And for me, I'm going to go with two Canadians because, you know, I usually try to promote how much I like Canadian bands and artists. And these two are, I'm sorry, Brian at Embryonic Robot, but Leonard Cohen. Now, it's not so much that I've heard lots of his stuff and been disappointed by it. I just haven't felt any reason to go there. And I kind of think that there might not be any reason for me to go there. There might be a Leonard Cohen album out there that has a couple of songs on that I might think are actually pretty good, but it just doesn't seem like a place I need to go. And I know you're thinking, Leonard Cohen? 80s thrash metal? Why would you need to go to Leonard Cohen? I do like lots of other stuff. Hey, I bought a Nick Cave album last year, and I actually thought it was pretty good. In fact, I even thought it reminded me of Leonard Cohen. But anyway, and the other one is Neil Young. I know so many people in the vinyl community talk about Neil Young. I'm sure there's probably a Neil Young album out there that has 2 or 3 songs on that I actually would like. I remember thinking Cinnamon Girl sounded kind of cool. But yeah, it's just not something I felt like I really need to dive into it. Maybe when I get older, who knows? Okay, and then the last one is 5 artists who've been in 2 or more bands where there must be at least 2 albums released with that artist participating for each of those bands. So first one, maybe most of you are not going to know her. This is Hisako Tabuchi, and she played in a band called Number Girl. They recorded an independent album and then signed to a major label, and I think they released 3 full-length albums. So this is between 1997 or so and 2002. Number Girl are, I wouldn't exactly say punk rock, but a very aggressive, loud, alternative rock type band anyway. Lots of shouty vocals, lots of discordant notes, and I think on this album here, this is called Schoolgirl Distortional Addict. I think they're just playing live in the studio because somebody will just shout 2 syllables that don't seem to have any meaning in any language, and everybody will just come in. Or you'll hear things like, you know, buzzing amplifiers or whatever. So anyway, Hisako Tabuchi is on this, and then when they broke up, almost immediately she put together a band, Toddle. This is more of an alternative rock shoegaze blend type of an album, and then Toddle did 3 or 4 albums. She also was a supporting member, whatever that means, of a band named Pedro, so I guess it means she wasn't a full-time member, but she played with the band live. I think she participated in recordings. She also has released a couple of albums as a solo artist, and there were other things that she's doing too. But anyway, that is Hisako Tabuchi. Then, a fellow by the name of Guy Manning, he appeared in a bunch of different bands, 90 Degrees or Parallel. He appeared on the first The Tangent album, because the guy who started The Tangent, he was together with him in 90 Degrees or Parallel or 90 Degrees. Anyway, Guy Manning went off to do his own band called Manning, and he's released several albums under the name Manning, and this one here, The Root, the Leaf, and the Bone, is maybe my favorite one. There's a strong Jethro Tull resemblance because there's a lot of flute. It's a prog rock band with a lot of acoustic guitar, and his singing style is a bit similar to Ian Anderson. So that's Guy Manning, and he also started a band called Dominic, which featured some other members, musicians who have appeared on many different albums that I have, including Sean Timms from Australia, who's been in Southern Empire, Merrick Arnold from Germany, who's been in Toxic Smile and 7 Steps to the Green Door, and lots more. But anyway, Guy Manning from Manning Anyway, releasing several albums, and then Dominic, this is the 3rd and final album of Dominic. So there we go. That's more progressive type stuff. Then, yeah, let's visit Metallica again. Here's the Black Album, and who's playing bass? Jason Newsted. Now, I think I have the first Testament album. Is it Testament? No, it's Flotsam and Jetsam, sorry. I don't have the first Flotsam and Jetsam album. We know he was with that band, but we also know later on, after he quit Metallica, he joined Voivod. So he appears on 3 of the Voivod studio albums as well. That is Jason Newsted. So there we go. At least 2 different bands. I don't know what he's been doing since then. He's had some solo stuff. He's done some other stuff. Steve Morse, got into him after he showed up with Deep Purple. But of course, before joining Deep Purple, he already had a long history with the Dixie Dregs, with his own band, the Steve Morse Band. And he also played on a couple of Kansas albums. I have one of them. I think it's called Power. He's on the Kansas album Power, and I think the one that came after that. Plus, he's been in, Flying Colors? I don't know, a number of different bands as well. And finally, is that 4? That's 4. So finally, let's talk about Joe Lynn Turner, whom we see showing up here on Rainbow's Difficult to Cure album and sticking with Rainbow until they wrapped up there for the Deep Purple Mark II get-together. Before Rainbow, though, he was in a band called Fandango, and this is a compilation of the best of Fandango. I don't remember if they released 3 or 4 albums. I used to have the debut, but this is anyway a compilation of all of their best stuff. And he also, of course, did solo stuff. He played with Yngwie Malmsteen's Rising Force, and he was in a band called Mother's Army with Carmen Appice on drums, Jeff Watson and guitars, and is it guitars? Bob Daisley produced this with Jeff Watson. I forget who else is on here. This is a supergroup. It is a supergroup. So anyway, that's Mother's Army. And he also did 2 or 3 albums together with Glenn Hughes called the Hughes Turner Project. And this is their first one. So yeah, Glenn Hughes. Who are we talking about here? Joe Lynn Turner. He's been in a lot of different stuff. Okay, I think that's it. And I'm piling all the CDs on top of my notes. So yeah, that is for the Thrashing Zombies 525 subs contest. Nice to meet you, sir. I'll come by your channel and check out more of your stuff. So there we go. A link to the video, of course, the original Thrashing Zombies video down below. Thanks to Cristian Osorio in Santiago for introducing me to this one. I watched his contribution to the contest and then decided I would join too. So there we have it. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in another video where you'll see me wearing the same clothes. Ciao.